This is Jonathan Ferguson, the Keeper of Firearms and Artillery at the Royal Armouries Museum in the UK, which houses a collection of thousands of iconic weapons from throughout history. And I'm your host, Dave Jewett, and today we're facing off against the Chimera as we break down some of the weapons of the Resistance franchise.
It's a freeze ray. What do you want from me? The next obligatory thing is a Batman and Robin reference, but I'll try to avoid that.
Nice to meet you.
Exactly.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
So the Bullseye, which I'm guessing is a human nickname, be a weird coincidence, wouldn't it? Is the Chimeran main battle rifle. No!
There is a longer, deeper, extended edition of this episode over on our Patreon, so if you like what you see here, be sure to check that out. But without further ado, I will now throw over to Jonathan.
An M5A2 standard issue rifle of the US Army Rangers. Oh no, it isn't. A what? Whoa. The Folsom is nicknamed it's already nicknamed, surely, because its formal name is not Folsom. Guessing that's the designer. Anyway, is nicknamed the Paddle for its wide wooden stock and ability to spank an enemy. As to the weapon itself, well, one of the few guns I can grab that looks anything like it, and this isn't actually an M14, guys. I won't make you guess. This is a T48, one of the prototypes of the M14. Yeah, so you can clearly see, I think you can clearly see anyway, the loose arrangement of the gas block, operating rod setup here, gas tube, the action. Although it's been sort of bulked out with metal and then a separate thumbhole wooden stock attached. And inexplicably has an M203 Star grenade launcher on the bottom of it. And Picatinny rail, but only on the top of the handguard, not on the action.
That stock reminds me of a WA2000. Am I completely off base and losing my mind?
You mean one of these? I mean, you're not completely off base insofar as it's a thumbhole stock. That way around, you can see the chunkiness, and I think you might be onto something, because that sort of wrap over cheek piece does kind of look a little bit like that cheek piece on this one. I suspect that is their visual reference. It's just been kind of moved so far away from the real thing as to be not really. But you can sort of see the space left over from where the magazine would go. So I'm allowing that one, Dave.
Or is it like a sort of interpretation of the rear of a L96 but wood?
Well, this is what I'm kind of hinting toward, is that
I'm just grasping on thumbhole stuff.
Grasping at thumbs, yes. It's jamming my brain up. Let's move on. Right, so they've stuck to the M14's heritage as a fully automatic full power cartridge rifle, although the real M14 fires faster than that if it does have a selector on it. It's quite a good soft sci-fi design for an infantry rifle, I think. I think you could maybe have thought it through a little more than that. Or you can sort of postulate a long-running conflict where it turns out that close quarter striking power is what matters. So you've got full power cartridge, you've got automatic, you've got a setup that only cares about a red dot, doesn't care about magnified optics. Hence they've left the action open at the rear. So maybe a timeline that's branched off in the 1950s.
Well, this is set in 1951, the first game. And part of the story is that the Americans and British are teaming up to stop this alien invasion, which I think is played on with the weapon description of it being an M14 that is using 303 British. They've even teamed up in their weapon design.
Which makes no sense at all. If we were going to standardise on a cartridge, it would be 30-06, not 303. In Second World War, we already have the ability to access 30-06 ammunition. Home Guard are using rifles chambered in that, machine guns chambered in that as well.
And the logistic power of America. It's probably best to rely on them to make the ammo.
Exactly. Yep, that and the fact that it's a rimless round. So engineering an M14 type weapon to operate on a rimmed cartridge is far more problematic than simply using 30-06 in model 1917 rifles. We've just mass produced those. This is not a plausible alternate reality, let's put it that way.
This is Resistance 2 we're on now.
I should say the cheek piece thumb hole stock is a target rifle stock. It makes absolutely no, or a legally different stock for jurisdictions that require it. It makes 0 sense for an infantry rifle to have it, other than thumb hole stock equals sci-fi, as we've commented on previously. The underslung grenade launcher, makes sense with the kind of alien threat that we're dealing with, I think. I mean, we're already looking at grenade launchers in the 50s for anti-personnel anyway, so maybe this would be accelerated by deadly aliens. It's a bit early for this, but the SPEW program of the 50s, special purpose individual weapon, where the idea was to mate a bullet firing weapon with a grenade or area effect firing weapon in a more effective way than we had seen previously with rifle grenades off the muzzle. That is of this era, so I actually would have preferred that they went to the SPEW program and picked one of those designs and just put that in the game. That would have made it a really nice alternate history from the tech angle, the weapon angle. It doesn't matter, obviously, that they went with something grounded in history but fictional. And I don't hate the weapon, except I really don't like the thumbhole stock. That's purely aesthetic reasons they've chosen that. And the Picatinny rails. There are no Picatinny rails in 1951. It's a modern thing, and it's as a visual indicator, it tells the audience that you're in the modern era. Yeah, I know that the technology there is advanced technology in these games, but it's coming exclusively from the aliens, plus a bit of R&D maybe. But they're not going to be putting R&D effort into Picatinny rails that we then don't put anything on. Yet another case of Picatinny rails being used for visual interest. So they're very consistent with this design. Obviously, fans have become accustomed to it and they want to see it in the sequels, so fair enough. Maybe sounds a bit less punchy in this iteration of the series. Although, I will say, I am a bit of a sucker for this with the bayonet fitted. That does look cool. The bayonet in this situation where you've got hordes of these alien things getting up in your face and a limited capacity, not particularly fast. I mean, the reload animations are faster than they probably should be. I think you're probably going to want that bayonet. Here we go. This is what you'd really be doing, is killing aliens with whatever you've got and then stealing their weapons, because they're going to be better, aren't they? So the Bullseye, which I'm guessing is a human nickname, be a weird coincidence, wouldn't it? Is the Chimeran main battle rifle. No! I've barely come to terms with battle rifle. Shout out to Ian McCollum. Main battle rifle, I absolutely will never come to terms with. Except I think what they mean is it's their main battle/infantry/service rifle. I don't think they're intending to trigger me. It has a rapid cyclic rate. We'll see about that. And high damage. Interesting balance-wise to have high rate of fire and high damage. But I guess if it's something that you get later on.
You actually get it quite early. The rapid rate of fire means the recoil is a bit of an issue. But its secondary fire locks onto the enemy and it does that Fifth Element Zorg 1 thing of you tag an enemy and then all the bullets curve and find the target.
The design's a little busy, but then, alien physiology, alien design ethos, and presumably accommodating some kind of directed energy setup that we can only imagine. Sounds very ray gun, looks very ray gun, shoots like an assault rifle, pretty much. Oh, that is cool. That is very clearly Fifth Element inspired, as you say. But why not? I'm surprised we haven't had more people copying that feature. The tag thing is very cool, and there's separate ammo for those, clearly, so that it's not a sort of always on feature of the weapon like the airburst feature on the XM25 or something. It's something you have to power with ammo, which is the only way to make it fair, really. Cool idea, like it. Great for a sci-fi game. I wish the thing had some sort of provision for sights, unless the aliens have some other means of aiming, because it falls into that sci-fi weapon trap of being quite busy on top with no apparent means of aiming. Bullseye Mk. Oh, so it's ion. It's firing ions, apparently. Ion bursts. Why not? So it's still got the tag. So this one definitely does have stuff going on top, but it's more like some sort of waving protuberances. I am wondering about the big hole in the back of this gun. There's a big hole, and I don't know what it's there for.
Well, if you have to ask.
Any ideas? This gun has a butthole.
That's its bullseye.
But it's not in the butt. Oh, wait a minute. Am I being incredibly dense, and that's supposed to be some sort of sight?
No, because the sight is... I mean, well, maybe the aliens use it as a sight, but the player never gets to, so...
Oh, I like the scrapbook version of the information thing. It's quite cool. Like someone has tried to do research in the field and document this thing. Ah, ha 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 ha. So in danger of doing a bottom reference there. They have actually done the iron sights thing that I'm always bleating on about. They've got a projected holographic sight that only appears when your head is on the gun. Congratulations, because future/alien tech, you can see it come in as well. Unless that's meant to be a HUD thing, but I don't think so.
I think it's implied that, because Resistance 3 is a number of years later, humans have sort of wholesale adopted the bullseye and customized it and made it more suitable for their own purpose.
Well, having sights definitely is more suitable for purpose. That's absolutely true.
Today's episode is brought to you by Manta Sleep. We've all got our own sleep rituals, and a good night's sleep is super important to me. I've suffered with insomnia since I was a teenager, so I need quiet, comfort, and ideally, pitch blackness. So the fact that I can put on my Manta Pro mask and see honestly nothing at all is so helpful when it comes to getting some decent rest. Also, it's no secret that I have a massive head, and in my experience, other sleep masks have been uncomfortably tight. Thankfully, Manta masks are not only comfortable, but they are extremely adjustable. I have genuinely been using this mask for a couple of weeks now, and it has been a massive help. If you want to pick one up for yourself, you can use the link in the description or use code EXP at checkout to get yourself 10% off. Thanks Manta Sleep for sponsoring this episode, and now I'll get back to the video.
Right, well here's our Hicks from Aliens shotgun. Not necessarily an Ithaca, but yeah, that idea. Employed by the British Army for base defence and urban warfare. Not really. Oh, and it does the half-life thing of mistaking the magazine tube for a second barrel, doesn't it?
Well, it does have... Yeah, it has a second barrel and the magazine tube, which... Because when I read that, I was like, oh, the half-life thing, and then you see the model and you're like, oh, no. But in the later games, I think it's less pronounced.
I think what's interesting about this series as well is long before legally different, well, not names. Names have been a thing since at least GoldenEye, as we've established before. But legally different gun designs. I mean, I know it's supposed to be alternate history, so it's definitely more artistic license than anything else. But it's interesting how much artistic license they've taken. It's more sort of Wolfenstein reboot approach of we're going to make them adjacent to reality, even in the period that overlaps a bit with ours. Although I suppose in Wolfenstein it's 20 years on, so there's room for divergence there.
I might be wrong, but I think the aliens appear on Earth early 1900s. So I think it's implied that the aliens being a consistent threat has changed firearms development throughout the 50 years that follow it.
Interesting. That does change calculations a little bit. I guess at the end of the day, if they find shotguns are useful against these alien creatures, they will use them for the purposes described. So they're kind of covered there. By extending their timeline like that, they have covered themselves from criticism by the likes of me. Yeah, I think moving further away from, if indeed it was based on an 870, we're moving further away from that now. And why is the pump handle to the rear? Does this thing pump forwards?
Oh, that's a good question. We'll have to see this one in action and see if we can tell. Yeah, it pumps forwards. I've not noticed that before.
Such things do exist, but it's uncommon for what is probably obvious mechanical reasons that it's, you know, the bolt has to go back, therefore the grip going back makes sense. In fact, I can't think of anything that pumps forward. I'm probably, because I've just been handling the M203, thinking of that. If anyone can think of any pump forward shotguns or rifles that I've forgotten about, let me know. We've got a sort of ghost ring style shotgun set of sights there. So this is a sort of, I guess more of a tactical shotgun setup from later on. I don't think you'd find a 1950s shotgun with that setup.
I found the Russian RMB 93. That's a forward pumping shotgun.
Okay. I did feel sure there was one, but I couldn't think what it was.
I mean, that's mad obscure, so we'll let the comments find that one.
They are boarding the train!
So this is Resistance 3 now, where once fully upgraded, it's an incendiary shotgun that also features an incendiary launcher and this big magazine booster on the side.
So how is it launching the incendiary bit?
This game seems to imply that the incendiary launcher is within the magazine tube, and it's the device on the side that adds the incendiary effect to the normal munitions. But even when the weapon is default, you have the option to shoot these incendiary grenades, and it looks like it's either fudged from the shotgun barrel or it's from the lower barrel, which they're misunderstanding as the tube magazine.
That's very confusing. Yeah, I don't see how that would work.
They've basically taken a back step and are using the magazine tube to launch something.
I think they must be. Or if not the tube, then the kind of chassis housing that sits in front of the tube. But it's not clear how that could ever feed or launch anything. Well, it couldn't really do anything, could it? Other than, I guess, somehow augment ammunition passing through the barrel above. Could somehow apply a status effect to it as it comes out of the gun. Whatever way you cut it, and feel free to headcanon this down in the comments, but I'm not seeing a way that this can make any sense at all.
Super quick note, but if you're enjoying this video, there is a longer, deeper, extended edition over on our Patreon, as well as over 25 extended and bonus episodes. By becoming a patron, you get early access to all of our episodes, plus perks like podcasts, Discord access, and you can be a part of our future community mixtape episodes. Either way, whether you join our Patreon or watch along on YouTube, I want to say thank you for watching, thank you for supporting EXP, and now I'll get back to the video.
L23, British designation. Fareye, I see what they've done there. Weapon of choice for British Royal Marine Commando sniper teams. 3,400 feet per second is astonishing muzzle velocity. That's 1,000 feet per second more than any of the other 303 rounds, which are all pretty consistently about 2,400, by the way.
That muzzle velocity is akin to like a GAU 12.
No, you've pitched that exactly right. That is serious business aircraft vehicle cannon velocity, using a much bigger explosive shell, because you're attacking materiel, vehicles, things, not, in theory, people. But it's not that 3,400 feet per second is completely impossible with modern, very modern, I guess, technology. It's more that it's just not that desirable, because you're going to be producing a ton of recoil, a ton of parts wear, and achieving not really much advantage. You'd be better off with... So I guess the modern equivalent of what... Or the parallel universe equivalent of this is something like the L115 in 338 Lapua Magnum. Yeah, I don't think you need or necessarily want a DMR/sniper rifle round or even a machine gun round that's over 3,000 feet per second, because you're kind of not getting the advantage and you're getting all the disadvantage, would be my kind of take. If this was, of course, a real thing that we needed to worry about, which we don't.
They sent in a Ravager!
So we now have a Magnum revolver, but they've kind of Elysiumed it a bit. So it has a black box on the side that magically makes the bullets explode, I guess?
Yeah, each round has a little explosive charge that can be remotely detonated.
Oh, so the box is the detonator.
Yeah, or at least the transmitter for the signal.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting idea. Not something I would have thought of. It's almost like someone played Half-Life and went, why don't we combine the explosive crossbow from multiplayer Half-Life with the Magnum from Half-Life? Do the bullets do damage from impact
Yes.
and from explosive?
Yes, so it's a two double effect.
I suppose I will comment on the break open design. I think, as I've said before, mostly moved away from that because it makes the frame insufficiently strong for things like Magnum cartridges or even repeated use with normal cartridges. And it's just better to swing out a cylinder to reload. To go for a grenade launching handgun, a break open design really doesn't make sense because it's going to stress that lockup, the point where the frame locks together with itself. Also, if these rounds are heavy, high pressure enough to be high velocity and explosive enough to be damaging, they're going to be very heavy and high velocity bullets, so the recoil ought to be more than it's depicted as being.
One deck down. Guys, there's an elevator north of your position that leads directly to the bridge. Give them a shot.
Oh, cool. This Auger is sounding very Eraser.
Yeah, big time.
Doesn't so much look like it.
Well, any gun that lets you see through a wall and shoot a guy through it's always going to evoke the movie Eraser, isn't it?
I think so. So this is supposed to punch through walls as well as see through them, presumably.
Yeah, you can shoot people through cover and you get to see, but both see them and deploy your own cover to then shoot through. So it's like a one-way cover system, which a few games have done.
So it does feel like the sound effects should be a bit more punchy, like maybe a charge. I suppose it'd be too close to the Eraser gun, but like a charge up beam, almost kind of. But I think the gameplay and also the sci-fi gunness of it, of having essentially a scope that lets you see through walls, really changes things up.
Yeah, so like a super sniper because you can stay in cover and shoot back.
So is there any penalty to using that mechanic, apart from it being a bit hard to work out what's going on in the environment, I suppose?
No, it's just reliant on if you have the secondary ammunition to do it.
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, well, again, that's having essentially ammunition limit the use of something that would otherwise be overpowered does work. Normally, with systems like this, you'd be able to use it at any time, but then they'd nerf the weapon to make it less capable, or ammunition very scarce, or something like that. Now that looks like the old Alien rifle again, with the world's most horrifying thumbhole stock.
Yeah, this is definitely a combination of human technology and alien technology.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think they've achieved that. Although the hexagonal rear sight aperture is a sort of needless departure.
I mean, a hexagon is the most alien shape.
Clearly.
And it shoots these little drones as its secondary fire.
Ah. So this being a more modern game, we've got the hexagonal iron sight, and then we can fit somehow, I didn't quite catch how, quite a futuristic looking optical sight, which has that animated reticle thing that a lot of games love to do, that the purpose of which is unclear. Well, we have a round counter in the scope, that's fair enough. But the kind of junk reticle thing, I don't really know what that's doing. Maybe it's adjusting a zoom that you don't actually have control over in the game. There's a little adjustment turret on the top. Oh.
All this thing does is shoot horrible balls of goo. It's like a pressurized goo chucker. That series of words didn't feel right coming out of my mouth.
You're a pressurized goo chucker.
I knew something was coming.
To which you should respond, your mum is a pressurized...
I'm not putting that out on the internet. I'm not saying something like that to a guy that has thousands of weapons in the same room as him.
It's traditional. She doesn't watch this. It's fine. Interesting. So I think every now and again someone tries to invent a less lethal weapon that encloses someone in like a foam cocoon that stops them from doing what they're doing that's naughty, and also means they don't knock their brains out when they fall over. And it never works.
But this thing just shoots some weird mutated virus strain that turns people into fleshy explosions. Very gross.
Yeah, this is the opposite of trying to save people's lives while stopping them from hurting other people. This is very much trying to make them suffer and die. I mean, I guess the suffering is incidental, which is key, by the way, to the Hague Convention. You must not calculate to cause unnecessary suffering, but if you do it by accident, that's fine. So the Cryogun, I think I can guess what this is going to do. Now, I guess the next obligatory thing is a Batman and Robin reference, but I'll try to avoid that.
Nice to meet you.
Exactly.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
So a freeze ray. It's a freeze ray. What do you want from me? Well, I quite like the spiky crystal ice formations that this one generates. And it's got the hollow sighty thing that I appreciate on the other weapon. Bit of needless glowing yellow LED technology, because, you know, aliens. Interestingly, it looks like you can half freeze them. So they go sort of, they look like they're frozen, but they still move, and then you have to fully freeze them for them to go all crystalline and shatter them for that Terminator 2 hasta la vista, baby. I do think they missed a trick here with, I'm guessing they as is tradition, they thaw if you don't break them.
I believe so, yeah.
Because that's always how this works.
The alt fire is this big jet of air that's meant to, like, shatter them.
Oh, I missed that somehow. Jet of air, though, seems a bit random. I'm not sure a jet of air would have the necessary force to shatter a frozen alien. But hey. Well, that was significantly wackier than I was expecting, actually. I'm not sure what I expected. Some alien tech, but maybe not as much weirdness as the high-pressure goo launcher, for example.
And for a series that started in 2006, they were doing some interesting stuff. Thank you all for watching. Let us know what other games, movies, TV shows, or beyond you'd like to see on the show. And of course, subscribe. As always, I want to give a massive shout out to all of our supporters over on Patreon for supporting EXP and for helping make all of these videos happen. Links to support the Royal Armouries will be in the description below, as will links to all of EXP's social pages, so be sure to check those out. But once again, thank you for watching, commenting, liking, subscribing, all of that good stuff, and I will see you very soon.